All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this Thinking as a Political Scientist 5.1 Voting Rights and Models of Voting Behavior assignment. So if we get to the folder here, oops, here we go. All right, a couple things. Before we dig into this, I want to show you the rubric for the argumentative essay, go over a few tips and tricks that you see here on screen, and then show you what you're doing with the actual assignment. So first of all, the rubric. This is a 6-point rubric. There is 1 point for a responding to the prompt with a quote unquote defensible claim or thesis that establishes a line of reasoning. To earn the point, you need to respond directly to the prompt rather than restating it or rephrasing it. And you need to establish a line of reasoning. So a thesis. You all know how to write a thesis. And then there are 3 evidence points. You get 1 point for using one piece of evidence that's relevant to the topic of the prompt. 2 points if you use one piece of evidence of specific and relevant evidence to support your claim or thesis, or provide 2 pieces of evidence that are relevant to the topic or prompt. And then 3 points if you use 2 pieces of evidence to support your claim or thesis. And this rubric is posted in the folder on Schoology, so you can review this. And then the next point, there's a reasoning point. You get 1 point for using some type of reasoning skill, whether that's classification, process, causation, or comparison, to explain how or why the evidence that you have listed supports an argument relevant to the prompt. So that's just your reasoning. And then the final point is for responding to alternative perspectives. So recognizing an opposing or alternative point of view using refutation or rebuttal. All right, so that is the basics of the rubric. Uh, and you have access to this rubric on Schoology, so you will be good to go to review that. Now, going back here, some tips and tricks. Go ahead and read this. I'm not going to read this in the video for you, but here are some simple tips on how to write a good thesis and some examples, how to incorporate evidence and supportive reasoning, how to establish a counter argument, and then finally, how you might conclude your argumentative essay. But if we actually go to the assignment, which you'll see here, let me open it up here. This is pretty formulaic how we've got this set up. So what you see at the top here, right here, the prompt, develop an argument that explains whether term limits for members of Congress would be beneficial or harmful to the legislative process. Support your claim with at least 2 pieces of accurate and relevant information. At least one piece of evidence must be from one of the following foundational documents: Federalist 51 and the Constitution. Now, you have notes on both of these documents, so feel free to use your notes to pull relevant information. This is just practice, after all. Moving on, use a second piece of evidence from another foundational document from the list or from your study of the electoral process. All right, so the big thing here is you don't want to use 2 pieces of evidence from one document only. If you are using a piece of evidence from Federalist 51, then your second piece of evidence should come from the Constitution or from any course concept other than the Federalist 51 document. All right. Use reasoning to explain why your evidence supports your claim or thesis, and then finally respond to an opposing or alternative perspective using refutation, concession, or rebuttal. So again, it's just hitting on the parts of the rubric. So I've given you kind of some sentence starters here of how you might go about doing this. Again, this is very formulaic. when all is said and done, uh, we can start writing a little more uh, with your own voice. But for the time being, let's try to stick to the formula here, just so that we can ensure that you are understanding what needs to be included in the essay. And then once you have that down, obviously use your own writing voice and um, expand how you wish. All right. So this is just to cover the basics. So for the thesis, the sentence starter here, in response to, and then kind of restate the prompt. It is evident, insert your position, um, because, and then that's your line of reasoning. All right. Um, so that is a simple way to go about um, a thesis. You can write a more elaborate thesis. Just make sure you are responding directly to the prompt. You're taking a stance on it, and you're establishing the line of argument. All right. For evidence and supportive reasoning, this you need to be clear. It's best for the readers at the AP reading to make this as clear as possible, even to the point where you may be underlining evidence or labeling it in some way. Um, Again, that's a personal decision for you. But if you have some time, pointing that stuff out helps, especially if you write the essay and then you go back and read it to yourself before you're submitting it, um, and something doesn't sound right or you weren't quite clear about something, go ahead and edit. I mean, the nice thing about you doing this online, you're going to be taking the AP exam online, is that you can make those edits uh, and not have to worry about your work being too sloppy to be able to follow any annotations you actually add. So you can actually just go back and make some changes, right? Um, so it should be something that is uh, a simple process. It's not a complex editing job you're doing here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The whole idea behind these writings on the AP exam is that they're to be treated as rough drafts. So the whole focus is on content. The content's there, you get the point. Very simple. All right. Um, and then counter argument, and then a conclusion to restate your thesis. So again, just kind of follow the formula here. I know it's not the most exciting way to go about writing, but again, the intention of it is to make sure that you understand exactly what needs to be in the essay, so that you can practice that. And when you're in the time crunch in the exam, there's less anxiety about what you need to do. Stick to the formula. You'll be good to go. You'll be all right. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Take care.